What is going on? And I do it again. Last time on my NBA. Okay, sorry guys. But anyway, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today, NFL power rankings. We are into. Is it already week 8? I believe. Yeah, the week 8 power rankings, which is pretty crazy to think. I believe. Yeah, week 8 power rankings. So, yeah, let's get into the video. And today, I just gotta say, man, this is a crazy power rankings. We didn't have the best games of the week, but a lot of movement. And you're gonna start to see a trend here of a ton of AFCs in one part of this tier, then a ton of NFC teams in another part. It's crazy what is going on right now in the NFL. But let's get into the rankings, starting at number 32, which is going to be Houston Texans, staying at the same spot as last week at that trash tier at 1-6. Just got dominated by the Cardinals, and that's all about it. Is the Texans clearly have the worst talent in the NFL. And then 31, I was tempted to put this team in the last column after a Zach Wilson injury with the New York Jets at 1-5. I'm not gonna do it. Just because the upside for the Jets is much higher than the upside for the Texans. And I think, the Jets at number 31 are definitely the second worst team in the NFL after getting just demolished by the Pats, but we kind of expected that. So, they'll be dropping down 2 spots and then jumping up a spot. The Jacksonville Jaguars at number 30, 1-5 start, coming off a bye week, just jumping up because of that game. And then moving on to number 29, this is going to be the Dolphins, jumping up a spot. Still a trash team. Again, just jumping up because of the Jets. I mean, they almost beat the Falcons, which I had predicting them to win. Didn't get the job done, and that just proves my point further. I mean, they almost got it done. Horrible start for the Dolphins. Worst case scenario. Haven't won since week 1, so the Dolphins at number 29 in that trash tier. Right there. And then moving on to number 2, the bad tier. Starting out with number 28, the Lions, staying at the same spot at 0-7. Obviously, this team against the Rams start out swinging. Huge play by DeAndre Swift for the touchdown. Onside kick recovery. Fake punt. And all of a sudden they're leading the Rams. But the Lions, the Rams were the better team and they caught up to the Lions. But this is a competitive team. This is definitely a trash talent. This is in my opinion, besides the Jaguars, the Texans, the worst talent in the NFL. But this team is well coached. They got a good coach, I think, and this is going to be it's going to be interesting to see. And they're just competitive. They're drawing up plays. And that's why they're in the bad teams, just because they're competitive. And that's really what bad teams will do to you. All right, anyway, moving on to number 27. That's going to be the Eagles. Drop it down 4 spots out of the bad tier. 2-5, a horrible week for them. Losing to the Raiders, some garbage time points, but in general, we all know that the Eagles right now are in full rebuild mode at number 27. Number 26 staying at the same spot. Washington losing to the Packers, but played better than I thought. That's really all you have to say about the Washington at 2-5. Staying right there. All right, and then moving on to number 25, we're going to have the Panthers dropping down 3 spots. Disappointing start for Carolina. That's for sure. Disappointing, next 4 games after the 3-0 start for Carolina, losing 4 straight. And this is officially a bad team, I think. Sam Darnold is really holding this team back. This defense is good. They got a decent offense outside of Sam Darnold. So that's where they really need to look for in the draft as a quarterback, even though this is really a weak quarterback class. But that's what they have to get. Or sign someone in free agency. Anyway, let's move on to number 24. That's going to be the Giants, jumping up 3 spots here. Impressive week for the Giants, beating the Panthers, passing them up in the rankings at 2-5. The Giants, they're a decent football team. They're a bad football team. But Daniel Jones playing mediocre, and that is fine. That is fine. I do think that this New York Giants team is going to be a solid football team. Anyway, moving on to number 23, jumping up a couple spots. We're going to see a lot of people jumping up here. Is going to be the Falcons. 3-3, beat the Miami Dolphins. They're 3-3. They're literally the next team in the hunt for the NFC. The only problem with the Falcons that I have is if you look at their wins, came to the Giants, who are 1 spot behind them, and then the Dolphins and the Jets. So it's clearly teams that are on their same level with the Giants and worse teams with the Dolphins and the Jets. The team that they probably should have won at home against Washington to move this team to 4-2. Easy schedule to start out the year for the Falcons. We're going to actually see what this team is really made of in the coming weeks. But yeah, they're still a bad team. Jumping up 2 spots because they're getting the job done. All right, moving on to number 22. That's going to be the Broncos. And kind of like the Panthers, drop it down 4 spots. Really, the big difference between these two is that Teddy Bridgewater is better than Sam Darnold. And that's really the difference why they're above them. And the Broncos, I was very tempted to put them in the competitive tier, as we see. But, I just think at this point on, they're not proving that to me. And they're a bad team. So, yeah, you can kind of see the separation that I was kind of talking about this early on. It gets even more like this with the AFC teams right there, a whole slate of NFC teams. Then you got the odd man out in the Broncos at number 1 in that bad tier in number 22. And actually, yeah, the Broncos are going to be jumping up 2 spots. I don't know if I mentioned that, but yeah, the Broncos jumping up a couple spots this week, even though they were in the opposite tier right now. Just a lot of teams moved in to this decent tier. So now we have 3 NFC teams in the decent tier right here. No AFC teams. So let's start out with number 21, drop it down 2 spots. That's going to be the Bears getting pummeled this week. I expected them to get pummeled, though. Justin Fields not making the plays. He's not looking good. And this Buccaneers team dominated them. So that's really all you have to say. And then another team that's dropping down 2 spots, the Niners. Disappointing loss at home. You need to get that win, even though I predicted the Colts to win anyway. But the Niners, just not really any hope. They're a decent team. Not going to make the playoffs in my book. And yeah, that's where I see the Niners at. And then number 19, Seattle. My biggest move change here, dropping down 6 spots after being at number 13 entering into the week. Seattle, you just look at the Seahawks football team. Geno Smith clearly is not it for this team. Losing to the Saints. that game, just critical mistakes at the end. That's why they lost it. My Seattle Seahawks. But, I mean, they're not doing what they need to do to give Russell Wilson a chance to turn this season around. And they're 2-5 right now. Luckily, they're in the NFC. And that number 7 spot could easily go to them. But at the moment, I'm not really seeing them in the postseason. So that's why they are going to be decent right there. And now, let's move on to number 18. The Steelers dropping down 2 spots. Coming off a bye week, though, just because of movement up from the Steelers. And just really me putting them too high. Yeah, and then moving into number 17, the Patriots jumping up 4 spots. Wow, what a week from Bill Belichick and the Pats. Got the job done over the Steelers. I don't know. I said Steelers, Jets, and that's what Tom Brady's going to do to a rookie quarterback. He's going to dominate. So I don't think this is going to be a playoff team by the end of the year, but they definitely can slide in. If they're in the NFC, this team definitely has a chance. But they're in the AFC, so, not going well. All right, and then numbers 16 and 15 are actually going to be playoff teams from the NFC. I just think the AFC is the more well-rounded conference for that wild card spot. So, starting up number 16, the Vikings in that playoff tier. Contenders at 3-3 at this point on, with the Seahawks struggling. It just seems clear that the Vikings are going to be the 7th seed by the end of the year. And, yeah, Kirk Cousins will be able to move this team back. And then moving on to number 15, dropping down a couple spots. Dropping down 3 spots. Not because they lost or anything. I'm just more impressed with the AFC than the Saints. They played, their offense stinks, let's be honest, besides Alvin Kamara. But this team, their defense is solid. They proved it tonight. Last night against Seattle. Easily could have been a loss for them, though, but barely snuck out a win. So the Saints at number 15 at 4-2. And then, so now we get down to in the hunt tier for the AFC, the last 2 teams in this tier. That's going to be and by the way, we're going to have a ton of AFC teams. So if you're an AFC fan, get ready for some of your teams to be called. And that's going to start out with the Chiefs, dropping down 7 spots. Honestly, I just had too much faith in Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill. This defense stinks. This team is broken. Patrick Mahomes is not enough. Let's be honest. He is not playing well, and he's becoming a problem with this losing streak. And this team has just been figured out. So, I don't know what's going to happen with the Chiefs. Will they be able to bounce back? I don't know. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs at the moment, but yeah. And then moving on to number 13, the Colts. Proved my theory even more this week, but they are moving out of the playoff tier just because I'm impressed with some other teams this week. But the Colts, I could definitely see them sliding into the playoffs. Carson Wentz looking much better. He's starting to get into this offense. He's playing like what they wanted. And this is where I really thought that the Colts would be at this moment, is struggling to start out the season, but getting better as the weeks go on. And that's what the Colts are really doing. All right, and then let's go on to that rounds out the decent tier. Sorry, I put these in the wrong tier. That's on me. That rounds out the in the hunt tier, so now we'll continue with the playoff tier right now. And that's going to start out with the number 12 team, the Las Vegas Raiders. I had my doubts about this team. 5-2, though. I mean, it seems like they've gone better since the John Gruden thing has all happened, and I was shocked by that. I just thought John Gruden, with his play calling, would be the, coach, but would be the piece. But I mean, the Raiders right now at 5-2, I just cannot not put them in this playoff picture right now. So I think they'll be able to make that 8 spots from the previous week. And I just was too low on the Raiders, I got to be honest with you, with an impressive week. And then moving on, rounding out this playoff tier, the Browns staying at the same spot. They got the job done against the Broncos. This win proved how deep this team is and how solid this roster is and how good this team can be. And that's really what the Browns are all about right there at number 11 at 4-3. So I think the Browns are going to be a good team, and I think the Browns could be in the contender. They just got to recover at number 11 right there. So now we're moving on to the Contenders tier. Now we're getting into the big factors. Now we're getting into the teams that I think can and maybe even will win the Super Bowl. And that's going to start out with the surprising team that I did not expect this to happen at the beginning of the year. And that is going to go down to the Bengals. Just wow. Cincinnati is just dominated the Cowboys, who had ranked number 3 entering into the week. So that's saying something for this team. And the Bengals, they are looking very good. Joe Burrow, he is looking like Tom Brady out there. And also, this Jamar Chase looking good. This defense getting the job done. And we actually saw a good team. The offensive line is improving. This Bengals team is gonna be insane by the end of this year. Plus, they have a free agency coming up, which I think that they'll be able to get it done and improve this offensive line and stuff. But yeah, the Bengals very impressed me this week. Number 10, jumping up 5 spots. Probably will get even more with that in the coming weeks. All right, moving on to number 9, the Chargers dropping down a couple spots. We're not done with the AFC teams yet. The Chargers at 4-2, impressive. Well, it's just their bye week. They just really dropped down 2 spots because of some other teams rising. Moving on to number 8, the Ravens at 5-2, dropping down 8 spots. And, oh man, Ravens. We finally saw Lamar Jackson not play like what he did earlier, and Lamar Jackson cannot carry this team. I with too much faith in Lamar Jackson, and now I'm admitting that I just had the Ravens too high at number 3. I thought they were the best team in the AFC. They are not. So, yeah, the Ravens at number 8, drop it down 5 spots. I do think that they'll be able to recover. And finally, we get out of the slump of teams. And we have the Cowboys finally getting a chance to move up when it's their bye week at number 7, jumping out 3 spots. Honestly, was too low on them. And that's really the big picture here. I don't know why I put the Chargers over them last week, but yeah, at 5-1, they're going to have some big games in the coming weeks. But yeah, the Cowboys just really need a bigger game for me to be more impressed with them. So they'll be number 7. Then the Titans jumping up 3 spots. Wow, the Titans. Very impressed with this team at 5-2. The Titans, just dominated Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, and that says something for this team. Ryan Tannehill looking good. Derrick Henry is insane. This Titans team is a contender at 5-2, and I think this team with two of the biggest wins, in a long time for the Titans against the Bills and the Chiefs. So, yeah, the Titans sitting at number 6 right there. And then number 5, staying at the same spot coming off the bye week, the Buffalo Bills. Some people might be questioning me putting the Bills over the Titans. It's really just because I just think the Bills are the better football team. That's really the main reason. Anyway, moving on. Now we're getting to the NFC teams. We're finally done with the AFC teams. The NFC teams hit the board right here. Starting out with Green Bay, jumping up 2 spots, getting the win, 6-1 right here. Really jumping up 2 spots because the Ravens dropped down and the Bills had a bye week. So I put them over the Bills. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers looking as good as ever, but this is not looking good for them on Thursday night with Devontae Adams out and Allen Lazard. Hopefully, they'll be able to come back in that game and get the win, but not looking too good for this team. And then moving on to number 3, the Rams jumping up a spot at 6-1. The Rams took care of business. They just came back to adversity. The Lions did a lot of crazy stuff, and this is how you know you're a good football team, is when you can come back in the face of adversity. That's what the Rams did to finish out the Lions in that game. And then, but other than that, not else to talk about. So let's dive into the top 2, which will be the Cardinals at number 2 and the Buccaneers at 1. Both these teams very close at the Cardinals at 7-0, dropping down a spot. Bucs just caught the edge because they beat a better football team more than the Cardinals beat a worse football team. Really, that's just the big thing. These two teams could easily swap back and forth every week. I wouldn't be mad at you either way you put them. But the Buccaneers, both these teams just handled business against lesser football teams. But anyway, guys, thank you all for watching. The movement is insane this week. We look at, I was trying to tell you guys 1 through 5. 4 goes to NFC teams. Then you got 8 through 14. 5 through 14. Only 1 NFC team in that mix. Then we got 2 NFC teams, 2 AFC teams, 3 NFC teams, 1 AFC team, 7 NFC teams. Then you got 4 AFC teams. So just very, very close between these 2 conferences. But anyway, guys, thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the content. Comment down below your power rankings. And anyway, peace.